Hello everyone, Richard here, and today we're going to be discussing armor and health mechanics in Payday 2. This video will be thorough, especially when talking about some basic concepts, but that's to ensure everyone is on the same page on how these mechanics actually work. If we want to start at square one, we need to understand that like the original Payday, players will essentially have two hit point pools, armor and health. Armor will absorb damage initially and will regenerate after a short delay, but more on this later. Once your armor is depleted, your health will begin to take damage. However, unlike armor, once your health reaches zero, you will either go down or enter custody if you have gone down too many times. Also, unlike armor, health will not normally regenerate unless using a medibag, first aid kit, or via skill or perk. For this reason, you should try to mitigate damage as much as possible through armor or dodging, which is a subject in of itself. In general, there are four general types of builds you will see in Payday 2 in relation to armor: health focused, armor focused, a combination of health and armor, and dodge. While this isn't a comprehensive list of all the perk deck and skill combos, it's a good perspective to have when trying to create a build. Your health hit points by default will be 230, while armor is much more variable and changes depending on what armor you have equipped, as well as a plethora of skills and perks that can increase it. While certain factors can also change player health, such as perk decks, there are far fewer modifiers to health than armor. Before we talk about armor and health as separate entities, we should look at how players take damage in general. Enemies that engage a player will have a percentage chance to hit, and assuming their attacks hit, they will deal a specified amount of damage depending on what enemy, what weapon they're using, and what difficulty you're playing on. This is then subtracted from your armor value if you have any armor remaining, and if not, from your health pool. Where things start to get interesting are when taking damage from multiple sources. By default, after taking damage, you are given a 0.5 second cooldown, or 0.35 in Mayhem, Death Wish, and Death Sentence. During this cooldown, all incoming damage will be ignored unless the incoming damage is greater than the damage that initiated the cooldown. Successful dodges will also trigger this cooldown as well, and use the damage that you would have received as the comparison value. For example, if you are hit with 100 damage from a bulldozer, then a shield deals 50 damage a tenth of a second later, then the gross damage dealt to you would be 100. However, if the order was reversed and the shield fired first, followed by the dozer, then the gross damage received would be 150. This can make engaging multiple similar enemies relatively easy, as they will only be able to damage you 2 or 3 times per second, while engaging diverse groups of enemies can easily tear through both your armor and your health. Another interesting caveat is when taking an amount of damage that exceeds your remaining armor's hit points. For example, if a bulldozer deals 100 damage against you and you only have 50 armor remaining, you would think that you would take 50 armor damage and 50 damage to your health. In actuality, the armor would absorb all the spillover damage, leaving your health pool untouched. There is one exception, and that is with snipers, whose damage will spill over into your health pool if it exceeds your remaining armor's hit points. This is how you may see many players with full armor get instantly downed on higher difficulties by a lone sniper. This concept overall makes skills like Bullseye that instantly regenerate a portion of armor very powerful, especially when dealing with slow firing enemies like green bulldozers or other shotgun wielding police units. Normally, once armor is damaged or reaches zero, it will regenerate completely after a 3-second delay, or 1.75 seconds when playing offline. Certain skills and perk cards can reduce the cooldown or increase it in the case of the Anarchist perk deck. In any case, it is handled as a multiplier, so for example, a 10% faster armor regeneration would result in a 0.9 multiplier to your regeneration time, with multiple boosts multiplying with each other. A 10% and a 15% armor regeneration boost would translate to 0.9 times 0.85 times 3 seconds, leaving you with a 2.295 second armor regeneration time. When enemies shoot in your general direction or melee attack you, regardless of whether it was a hit, miss, or dodge, your armor regeneration timer will not only be reset, but an additional 1 second delay is incurred. So in many cases, your armor regeneration time will often have a formula that looks like this. Notice that the additional 1 second delay is unaffected by skills if you correctly use the order of operations in the above formula. Now that we have an understanding of how health and armor work together, you may be asking, which is more important? In my opinion, I think that largely depends on how you play and what build you're going after. For example, a very health-heavy build featuring muscle, an ICTV, shock and awe, and bullseye could tank quite a bit of damage thanks to good armor, good regeneration, and a very high regenerating health pool. By comparison, an armor-heavy anarchist build with bullseye could probably weave in and out of cover, taking advantage of its super heavy armor that regenerates relatively often thanks to bullseye and the perk deck mechanics. It would also benefit from greater flexibility in point selection and armor choice, since shock and awe and Iron Man aren't a necessity. Again, personally, I think armor benefits players that take a lot of damage spread out over a period of time, while health generally benefits tanking big and infrequent bursts of damage. I often run a health heavy, armor heavy, and balanced builds depending on my team composition and the nature of the heist, so I would say experimentation is critical to finding the right playstyle for you. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what your favorite perk deck, skill, and armor combination is in the comment section below. Don't worry, dodge users, I will be reviewing how dodge works in a later video. But until next time, happy hunting.